Have you ever reached out to shake a hand and felt an entire history in that moment? Not just a memory, but a living, breathing story of what was and what could have been. I want you to think about someone right now. Someone who drifted away, not with a bang, not with a dramatic fight, but with a slow, quiet fade into the background of your life. And for years, maybe even decades, you've carried a question, a silent whisper in the back of your mind. What happened? Why did they leave? And then life, in its unpredictable way, puts you in the same room. You see them across a crowded space, and in that single heartbeat, time collapses. Your past, your present, and every unspoken word between you collides. This isn't just a reunion. This is a moment of profound human truth. This is a reckoning, because when you meet that avoidant person after a long, long time, something powerful awakens. It's not what you'd expect. It's a moment that holds a master key to understanding connection, to understanding pain, and ultimately to understanding yourself. Are you ready to discover what truly happened? The very first thing you must understand, the very first law of this encounter, is that what you see on the surface is a lie, a complete and utter fabrication. You look at them and you see calm, you see composure, you see a life that seems to have moved on so effortlessly, so seamlessly, without you in it. And that perception, if you buy into it, will tear you apart. You must realize that the avoidance you witnessed years ago was never a lack of feeling. It was an overwhelming of feeling. It was a nervous system so flooded with the terror of rejection, the fear of engulfment, the agony of not being enough, that the only survival mechanism was to shut down, to build a fortress, to run. And when you see them again, that fortress is still there, but now it's older, more worn in, more sophisticated. The moat is deeper, the walls are higher. That calm you see isn't peace, it's control. It's a white-knuckled, lifelong practice of holding back the tidal wave of emotion that the mere sight of you might trigger. Their handshake is firm, but it's a calculated gesture. Their smile is pleasant, but it doesn't reach their eyes, the windows to a soul they long ago boarded up for protection. They are not indifferent. They are architects of indifference, having spent a lifetime designing a facade to protect a profoundly sensitive core. They mastered the art of stillness to camouflage the internal earthquake your presence creates. To believe they're calm is to misunderstand the entire human drama playing out before you. The storm isn't gone. It's been buried alive under years of practiced repression and strategic withdrawal. Their very presence in that room with you is an act of immense courage, or perhaps sheer terror, because for them, this meeting is a direct confrontation with every ghost they've ever fled from. They aren't looking at you with emptiness. They are looking at you and seeing every single moment of connection they sacrificed, every vulnerable conversation they sidestepped, every piece of love they deemed themselves unworthy of receiving. So when you stand there feeling the chill of their demeanor, you must not internalize it as a reflection of your worth. You must see it for what it truly is, the most profound, heartbreaking compliment you could ever receive. It is the undeniable evidence that you mattered so deeply, that the connection was so real and so potent, that the only way they knew how to survive its potential loss was to preemptively destroy it themselves. Their silence was never a statement about you. It was a scream of their own internal pain, a scream so loud it became inaudible to the human ear. Now, let's talk about you. Let's talk about the space they left behind. Because their absence was not a vacuum, it was a sculptor. For years, maybe you've told yourself a story of betrayal, of confusion, of being abandoned. But I want you to think bigger than that. I want you to see the architecture of your life since they left. Look at the choices you made. Look at the walls you built, or perhaps tore down. Look at the person you became in the wake of their departure. That relationship, that non-finish, created a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. So you, consciously or not, began to fill it. You filled it with new strengths. You learned to rely on yourself in ways you never thought possible. You developed a fiercer independence. You may have become more cautious with your heart, or perhaps, in rebellion, you became more open, more vulnerable, determined not to repeat the same pattern. Their absence became the silent, invisible force that shaped the contours of your resilience. Every success you've had, every challenge you've overcome, has been painted on a canvas that they're leaving primed. They created an empty room in the house of your soul, and you, my friend, you are the one who had to decide how to furnish it. Did you fill it with bitterness and trophies of victimhood? Or did you, perhaps without even realizing it, Fill it with a newfound depth, a capacity for empathy for others who are hurting, a wisdom about the fragility of human connection. That echo in the void is the sound of your own growth. Meeting them again is like hearing that echo played back to you in real time. You are standing face to face with the very catalyst that forced you to evolve. You are looking at the reason you had to learn to validate yourself, to become your own source of security, to understand that your worth is not, and never was, determined by their ability to show up for you. This is not to glorify the pain they caused, but to empower you to reclaim the narrative. They may have left, but you are the one who built a life in the space they abandoned. You are the one who found war in the desert they left you in. Seeing them again is the ultimate test of whether you recognize your own strength, the strength that was forged in the fire of their silence. It's a moment to look at them and silently acknowledge, your exit was the beginning of my most important journey. This is where it gets real. This is where you move from being a spectator of this drama to becoming its most conscious participant. When you lock eyes with this person from your past, you are not just looking at them. You are looking into a mirror that reflects back the parts of you that were raw, that were needy, that were perhaps too willing to sacrifice your own needs for the crumbs of their attention. They hold up a reflection of your own past insecurities. Do you remember who you were when you knew them? Do you remember the version of you that was so desperate for their validation, that rearranged your own personality to fit into the small, manageable box they felt safe offering? That person is in the room with you now. Meeting them triggers a cellular memory of that dynamic. The old you meets the current you in a silent, internal showdown. This is the moment of truth. Do you feel that old anxiety bubbling up? That familiar urge to people please, to make it comfortable for them, to shrink yourself so as not to trigger their retreat? Or do you feel a surge of resentment, anger at the past version of yourself for not knowing better, for not walking away sooner? This emotional cocktail is the mirror at work. Their presence is forcing you to confront how much you have or have not healed. If you feel a desperate need to prove to them how amazing your life is now, that is the unhealed part screaming for the validation it never received. If you feel a cold desire to show them how little they affected you, that is the unhealed part putting on its own armor. But if you can stand there, centered in your own power, and feel a genuine calm neutrality, even a flicker of compassion for the human being in front of you, then you know you have healed. The mirror they hold is not meant to shame you. It is a divine tool for assessment. It shows you with brutal clarity where you've patched your wounds and where the scars are still tender. This encounter is not about them. It's a final exam on your journey of self-love. It asks one profound question. Have you become the person who no longer needs anything from this ghost from your past to feel whole, complete, and utterly magnificent? Your answer in that moment, without saying a single word, will tell you everything you need to know about the work you've done and the person you've become. Let's talk about the most precious commodity you have. It's not money. It's not success. It's time. And the currency of time has the power to transmute lead into gold, to transform raw, searing pain into the profound gift of wisdom. For years, you may have carried the weight of their departure as a debt they owed you, a debt of an explanation, a debt of an apology, a debt of closure. You've been waiting at the emotional bank for a payment that never came. But meeting them after so long forces a radical transaction. You look at them, and you see the lines on their face that weren't there before. You see the slight stoop in their posture, the gray in their hair. You see that they, too, have been withered by life. They have fought battles you know nothing about. They have experienced losses, joys, and transformations in a universe parallel to your own. And in that moment, you have a choice. You can continue to hold the ledger, demanding payment for a decade, old debt, or you can make the most powerful trade of your life. You can trade your resentment for empathy. This is not about excusing their behavior. It is not about saying what they did was okay. It is about achieving a state of understanding that liberates you. Radical empathy is the conscious decision to see the scared child inside the adult who built the fortress. It is the ability to recognize that their avoidance was a disability of connection, a profound limitation, born from their own history of pain, fear, and survival. When you exchange your anger for this understanding, You are not doing it for them. You are doing it for you. You are cashing in your bitter coins for the pure gold of freedom. You are choosing to see a flawed, complex human being instead of a one-dimensional villain in the story of your life. This shift doesn't happen because they deserve it. It happens because you deserve the peace that comes with it. The weight of carrying a grudge for years is a heavy burden, and it has cost you enough energy, enough vitality. This encounter is your opportunity to finally set that burden down. You look at them, you see the passage of time etched on their face, and you make the conscious decision to stop being a creditor of the past and start being invested in your own future. You forgive the ghost, not to absolve them, but to evict them from the prime real estate they've been occupying in your mind, rent-free, for far too long. 93% of all communication is nonverbal. 93%. So when you meet this person, the real conversation is not happening with your words. It's happening in the space between the words. It's in the energy that fills the room. It's in the slight hesitation before you speak. It's in the quality of your eye contact. It's in the unspoken history that hangs in the air like thick fog. This is the unspoken dialogue. And mastering this is where your true power lies. You can say, "It's so good to see you," but your energy can be screaming, "You hurt me." Or it can be calmly stating, "I have moved on, and I wish you well." They might say, "You look well," but their energy might be whispering, "I'm terrified of what you think of me." This dance of unspoken communication is where all the unfinished business either gets resolved or gets cemented forever. Your job in this moment is to become the master of your own energy. You must anchor yourself in your present-day reality, not your past pain. You must breathe deeply and consciously choose the state you want to embody. Do you want to emanate curiosity, neutrality, compassion, strength? You get to decide. This is not about manipulating them, it's about commanding your own being. When you are centered in your power, the unspoken message you broadcast is one of finality and peace. It communicates that the chapter is closed not with a slam, but with a gentle, firm hand. It tells them, without a single word, that the dynamic of pursuit and retreat is over. The old game has expired. Your steady presence, your lack of desperation, your absence of accusation. This becomes the most eloquent speech ever given. It speaks directly to their subconscious, bypassing all their defenses and delivers the ultimate message of closure. I am no longer the person you knew. I am no longer bound to the story we once shared. I am free. And in your presence, my freedom is not a weapon against you. It is simply a fact. This silent, energetic declaration is more powerful than any dramatic confrontation, any tearful plea for answers. It is the language of the soul, and when you speak it fluently, you resolve years of unfinished business in a single, silent, profound exchange. And this leads us to the final, most glorious outcome of this entire encounter, the release. This is the moment of true victory. This is not about them walking away. This is about you letting go. For years, this person has been a character in the ongoing story of your life, a ghost haunting the hallways of your memory. You've told yourself stories about them, about you, about what happened. But after this meeting, something shifts. You have collected the final piece of data. You have seen them with your own eyes, not as the giant of your imagination, but as a mere mortal frozen in time, trapped by their own patterns. And in that seeing, the spell is broken. The final release is the conscious decision to take back the pen and write the last sentence of that old chapter yourself. It is the understanding that forgiveness is not an event, but a final verdict. You deliver to the past, I am no longer on trial here, and neither are you. The case is closed. You release them from the role you assigned them. The villain, the lost love, the one who got away. You strip them of their power by seeing them as they are, a fellow traveler on a difficult road who happened to walk a different path. This release is an internal event of seismic proportion. It's the feeling of a weight you didn't even know you were carrying suddenly being lifted. It's the quieting of the internal voice that wondered what if. It's the reclaiming of all the mental and emotional energy you've invested in a story that has long since ended. You are not forgetting the past. You are integrating it. You are taking the lesson, the strength, the wisdom, and you are ceremoniously burying the pain. You are making peace with the ghost. Not by defeating it, but by realizing it was never really there to begin with. It was only ever a shadow cast by your own longing and hurt. When you walk away from this encounter, you walk away lighter. You are no longer a prisoner of a story that someone else walked out of. You are the author, and you have just chosen to start a new volume, one that is no longer defined by an absence, but is utterly, completely, and magnificently defined by your own glorious presence. So, what is the ultimate truth of this powerful, life-altering encounter? It's that the meeting itself is never really about the other person. It is a meticulously orchestrated moment by the universe, a final exam on the path to your own personal liberation. It is the universe holding up a mirror, not to show you who they are, but to show you who you have become in the long shadow of their absence. It forces you to confront the stories you've told yourself, the wounds you've nursed, and the strength you've forged in the fire of that silence. This moment, as charged and as awkward as it may feel, is a gift of the highest order. It is your chance to trade the heavy, worthless currency of resentment for the liberating wealth of radical empathy. It is your opportunity to see the human being behind the fortress, to understand that their walls were never about your unworthiness, but about their own profound fear. This shift in perception is not for their benefit. It is the key that unlocks the cage you have been living in. The encounter is the final, silent negotiation for your own soul. It is where you master the unspoken dialogue and declare your independence, not with words, but with the unwavering power of your presence. You stand there, a complete and whole person, and in that standing, you silently communicate that the old dance is over. The pursuit has ended. The game is finished. You are no longer a player in their story, and they are no longer a ghost in yours. When you walk away, you are meant to walk away different. You are meant to have collected the final piece of data that allows you to close the book with a sense of peace, not with a bang of drama. This is the final release, the conscious, deliberate act of taking back your narrative, of reclaiming every ounce of energy that was tied to that past chapter. It is the moment you stop being defined by someone's inability to love you in the way you needed and start being defined by your own capacity to love and validate yourself. Therefore, if you are ever granted this moment, do not fear it. Do not run from it. Embrace it as the sacred ritual of closure that it is. Walk in with your eyes and your heart open. See the reflection, feel the echo, trade the currency, master the silence, and claim your release. Walk out not with a story about meeting an avoidant person from your past, but with the triumphant story of how you finally and completely met yourself. Thank you for having the courage to explore this profound terrain of the human heart. May this understanding serve as a catalyst for your own healing, your own growth, and your ultimate freedom. Go out and live a life so full of passion and purpose that the ghosts of the past simply become footnotes in the magnificent story of your becoming. Take care, be well, and go make it a powerful day. Goodbye.